No, so basically when Nas first came to Singapore, right, he was trying to build a team. So I met him for coffee lah. So after meeting him, right, who you see on camera is obviously
Not who he is in real life.
yeah, super different.
Anti-vax discrimination and cancel culture. This is your daily catch-up. Hey guys, if you're liking the content so far, do drop us a sub and a like on this video.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
This is the
Bye
opening.
bye, it's the opening.
This is the opening.
I'm so sorry, I'm moral.
Hey guys, if you're liking content so far, do remember to drop us a sub as well as a like on this video.
Yeah, we had a guy that commented, dropping a comment here for the algo. Walao, MVP,
Nice
there's so many of you, you're so nice,
You guys are so
thanks.
nice, thank you so much.
It really helps, thank you.
So Brett Boyer, you're all familiar, everyone's all like frozen.
Who is this Brad you speak of?
I've actually interviewed him before.
Huh?
Who is he?
Some politician-esque figure.
So Brett Boyer, who was a politician, who probably still is, but he was formerly of the PSP, just resigned because of a Facebook post that he put out. And it's not so much about him getting cancelled, it's because he felt like his party was limiting what he wanted to say about the whole issue.
What issue?
Oh.
So the issue is that ever since the government put in policies that say that you can't do this if you're not vaccinated, like
Right.
I think you can dine in groups of 5 if you're fully vaccinated, right? He compared this to the Holocaust. He's comparing Singapore to Nazi Germany.
What did he say?
So basically he's saying, right, so he posted a photo of like Auschwitz or like what appears to be Auschwitz. And then he basically said, right, it didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party controlling the message, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition, and one party dividing us and them.
Wait, are you talking about Singapore?
He's talking about Singapore now that they are...
Keep up.
He's basically talking
He's
about how...
likening us to Nazi Germany.
Right.
Yeah, how the government is separating vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and he's saying how that separation is discrimination, and it's almost treating the unvaccinated like how Nazi Germany treated the Jews.
But even pre-COVID, this was the way Singapore was run, right?
Who were the groups?
Yeah, that's why he joined opposition, in a sense.
Right,
It's
right.
just that I think what Dan is trying to say is that the fact that people that are vaccinated and people that are not vaccinated are being treated differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and PSP score him.
So I think to some extent, the party itself, I think can back the idea that we shouldn't discriminate against unvaccinated. But I think the extent of his messaging. So like I think in the comment section, right, a Singapore Jew, a girl whose family was, in the part of the Holocaust and the genocide and things like that, said that, dude, this is damn disgusting. Like my family didn't go through all that suffering for you to use it as an example in your insulting analogy. And then he told her to reflect and go and reflect and see how the situation is the same. He's just going ham. And so he didn't even delete his post. He's actually just responding to everyone, just doubling down on how we
Actually,
are.
if I'm not wrong,
Something to be respected in that.
Yeah.
In there, sorry.
but if I'm not wrong, right, he's since last year, I think, like with masks and everything, he's also spoken out against it. So it's not just this COVID measure. So it's overall. But I mean, clearly, versus the Holocaust, Jews are not doing anyone any harm, while unvaccinated people are more likely to spread the virus or fall very sick if they get it.
Yeah, I see. He's
So
no
there's
stranger
clearly
to
a
the-
risk here.
Yeah, he's no stranger to the topic. So like previously when the vaccines first came out, he actually said COVID is nothing to be worried about, and like the vaccines have side effects. Yeah, like he was against the vaccines.
No, but this particular issue is not about vaccination. It's about discrimination.
And freedom lah.
Yeah.
But what is this discrimination though? The fact that they cannot eat, they cannot dine out, is it?
So it's the same in the US where they're talking about vaccination passports.
Right.
So only the people who are vaccinated can
Go into certain
dine
areas.
in or can go and do this, do that, gyms and whatnot, right? And then I think I heard this on Joe Rogan, so that's the most
Wow,
reliable
podcast talking about
source.
podcast.
But he was saying that the people that can't get vaccinations, maybe because they cannot afford it or they don't have access and all that kind of thing, right, happen for the most part are the minority groups.
Right.
Yeah. So then it feels like discrimination is happening all over again with,
Right.
and there's segregation and separation of those groups lah, marginalized groups.
Right.
Yeah. Then
That-
how? And to be fair also, like, if you really don't believe in the vaccination, because this vaccination is slightly different from previous ones, and you don't know, right? Then how can you force this onto them?
Right. But in a Singaporean context where I don't think there is a lack of vaccine that's reaching people that are more underprivileged, right? Like I don't think this same argument stands.
There's excess lah.
But
Yeah.
it's not about just access. It's the same as like when we previously spoke about this, right? Like they have different ways to approach something like this, right? So if they chose to go with option A, then the quotes and the resources and the information that they put out there are all to support the
Right.
decision that they have made.
Right.
But it doesn't make them right. There is a possibility that they might be wrong.
Yeah.
And then after you choose to silence the people who have alternative thinking, who could be professional doctors and whatnot also.
So
Right.
I think the biggest issue, especially in Singapore, is that they made it voluntary, and it seemed as though, look, it's available here if you want. And it almost seemed as though it was supporting whether you believe in the vaccine or not. And then now all the policies seem to be so drastically discriminating against.
That reminds me, like in a Grab ride that I had very early on when this vaccine thing first came out, right? The Grab driver actually said, like, it's not actually optional because next time when you want to travel, when you want to do certain things, you're going to have to get it.
Oh, so much wisdom. This is one of those
Yeah,
that can
back
really
in the
make
days,
it into
yeah.
parliament one, Because all of them are politicians. Taxi drivers, politicians, yes. All of them.
But you can just imagine how difficult it is to be the government, because at the end of the day, like for businesses to be able to run, we need to open up the country. In order for us to open up the country, there needs to be some level of safety for people to come in to know that it's safe. And so I would imagine if I'm a traveler to Singapore, I wanted to know, okay, the people who are outside roaming around and I'm going to encounter are vaccinated in some sense.
Right.
Moving on to a different topic, right? I think a lot of people are calling out Brett Boyer, rightly so. I think you obviously shouldn't be comparing Singapore to whatever the Jews had to go through, right? But could he be right though? Like, is it something that we don't see until it's too late? So the reason why I'm saying this is because when we look at COVID specifically, the theories that were surrounding it was that, it was spread in the market. And for the longest time, for 1 year, right, that was the theory. Any other theory was conspiracy. And then now, right, the theory is that Donald Trump was spreading, that it was manufactured in a lab in Wuhan because that was the only coronavirus lab in China. And when it comes to bats, they're all in a different region of China. Now that is the theory that people believe is true. But people were just saying...
Not necessarily the manufacturer, but leaked from a lab.
It was leaked from a lab, yeah. And so there's obviously things that we don't see until it's too late.
Yeah, and actually Donald Trump sounded so radical and moronic because he had access to information. It's just most other presidents kept their mouth shut in their little black book.
And also because he was saying
But
other shit.
And he cannot keep a secret.
Yeah.
Like, you remember when he talked about we'll have vaccines before the end of the year? Then he was like, F he's just trying to win an election.
Yeah.
Well, we really did
It's out of the 2-3 things that he says correctly, he says 10 other things that are stupid, and so everyone
Yeah.
just groups it together and be like, this is stupid
Wait,
shit.
but is this lab thing widely recognized now? Because I remember when it first came out, right, people debunked it.
Yeah. It's starting
So
to
why
grow
is it-
again. And so
Yeah.
they started to say that it couldn't be from a market for all these different reasons.
Yeah.
But also because all the caves and where the bats are from, right, are all in a completely different region in China. And then when you look at this lab, they are literally studying and manufacturing the most virulent diseases,
Right.
specifically coronaviruses.
Right.
And so if it started in Wuhan and there's a lab there, the very funny story that Jon Stewart shared is that if there was a chocolate outbreak in Hershey, Connecticut, America, you would think it's the Hershey chocolate factory.
Right.
You know, so
Took me 2 seconds to really appreciate that one. Yeah.
Is it
But there's
just because
also the
people cannot-
military games conspiracy that the US brought it over during the military games and spread it to China. And then after that, Donald Trump come out and say, actually, it's China. Horrible impression. Yeah.
It's not bad actually, it's like almost 50%.
Speaking of people getting cancelled, like Brett Boyer, do you all see Nas Daily?
Yeah. Like he was basically being called out by a Filipino activist / celebrity.
She's like a social entrepreneur there.
Yeah, that he went over to film with, right? And then basically she recently came out with a posting, and I think the claims is that he wasn't
Actually invested
he
in
wasn't
that
trying
story.
to trying to help the situation and real issues, but instead he was just there to basically get content lah.
And apparently he said a lot of derogatory things
He was
towards
mocking the locals,
Yeah.
and the country in general.
Yeah.
It's
But Nas has come out to refute the claims also though.
so when he came out, right, he started saying I really didn't want to come out and tell this story. And then he started saying that she was the one that wasn't upfront about her story. Like when he went there, she actually didn't have the operations that she was talking about.
Yeah, like the cocoa trees are dying, the farmers ignored it.
I was starting to believe him until he went and used his friend, Project Nightfall, who used to work with him, to go and comment and just say, I can't believe this happened.
I don't think he's used to work with. I think they're still.
Or they're still working together.
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's
just
even
another.
worse.
Yeah.
Another channel. And then Project Nightfall was basically saying like, I was there too. And then like after that, Nas was like, you see, another witness, I'm right. Then to
Oh,
me,
he
it was
said
just-
that?
Yeah, it's like words to those effect.
Wait, but were there no other Filipino witnesses that came out?
No, yeah. So there was this other case, right? Basically,
the
The
tattoo artist.
tattoo.
yeah. So they went to go and I think document them, and then also they have a separate business which is like some kind of academy thing.
Yeah, like a class, like a traditional tattoo
Correct,
academy.
correct. So they got them to sign to become a part of that. But then later on,
Whereas in Nas is the one that's owning that's running the academy.
yes. So then I think now the tattoo artist or their family or whatever is claiming that they didn't agree to this or
Yeah.
some shit lah.
So
Yeah.
the tattoo artist is like, she's like 104 years old, like she's just traditional tattoo artist. And then the grandniece just came out and said, don't believe the scam, do not sign up for the academy. Like my grandma didn't agree to anything.
Oh, so
Yeah.
like using her name to get people to sign up.
Join
is
the
it?
academy.
Yeah.
Which could be a miscom.
Allegedly lah,
Which
like-
could be a miscom
Right.
also.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think like okay, as of right now, based on all the information that's out there, it's a he said she said kind of situation for
Yeah.
both cases, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit hard for us to try
Pass
and
judgment on
yeah,
it.
and figure this shit out. But I do, since we are in the media also, I do want to talk about a bit about the ethics of the work that we do. So when it comes to somebody like him, right, and doing human stories and whatnot, which we also do, right? Like, how do you draw the line between
Using
whether
them
you are
for their story or
correct.
helping them.
Are you exploiting them for content? Or yeah.
But I think then in that case, your interaction with that person is very important. Like how I feel like if both parties are agreeable and then she also kind of knows like what we are getting at, right? We have this common goal. And I think sometimes I can say that people don't mind being used in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's I mean, she's not gonna open her. Let's be honest. She's not gonna open her house for any videographer that wants to film something in the Philippines.
Yeah.
She opened her house for Nas's team because she knew that there was an possible upside.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think there's this expectation that people have because of the reputation that Nas has built. That
As a positive
yeah,
guy.
that he's supposed to go there and help you because he's such a force for change. And I feel like that's a very unfair and a very unrealistic expectation because that's his niche. That's the content he chose to do. That's like the field that he chose to specialize in. And if you want to continue to be able to specialize in this, you need to make sure that 100 stories, 95 stories are worth watching.
Right.
In order to do that, you will need to be very selective with your story. And just by that alone, right, it contradicts. Are you a kind mind trying to help the world? Very generous, want to help the poor, want to help the under-recognized and underprivileged? Or are you a content creator that shares great stories? Because he can't do one without the other.
Yeah.
If he does if he did a video on everybody, nobody will care about Nas anymore. Yeah, and yeah, you know what I mean. If you don't have that base, then nobody wants you to cover him.
Correct.
Yeah,
But is that dissonance, like, is that dissonance of how you have portrayed yourself in the media? It's the same thing with Ellen, right? She comes out and saying that she's a kind
Oh,
person,
yes.
she spreads positivity, be kind to one another is a catchphrase.
Yeah.
And then to hear that she's unkind to her own like staff.
She herself also like apparently weren't very nice to people. Like if they are not like A-listers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there were a few actresses or actors to say like they witnessed her just like not being nice to like her backstage crew and things like that.
Right.
And so it was the dissonance of like you sold yourself based on this person that brings positivity, and then you're not really that person in real life. So I think there's some of that when it comes to Nas. He doesn't sell that kindness aspect as much as Ellen, but he seems to be someone of positive change. And then to realize that he's not really like that.
And
Can
I
really
also
break
think
his
being in
brand.
the media, like with Ellen or Nas or whoever, or even for us, right, we're only putting one aspect of ourselves on camera. There's so many other aspects of us that we don't have to show people. Right?
Yeah, like
So-
Ellen doesn't have to say be kind, but
Yeah.
she say it.
And then when, like for example, when Nas goes on shoots, right, when you are shooting, you are working, it's a different,
Yeah.
it's a
Mode
different
lah,
side of
right?
you altogether. And probably that might have been the side that she saw lor.
To the
I mean, she
extent,
was probably hurt by it because they did not release the video.
to
They
the
decided
extent
not
to
continue.
mock locals though, or like Ellen doesn't have to say be kind, but that's arguably what made her millions and all this following anyway.
No lah. That line
extent
hey,
lah.
be kind.
No, but is that positivity that attracts a lot of people to her, right?
No,
And-
but it's like me going to somebody's office to film, right? And then when they show me, this is our room that we want to shoot in and blah blah blah. And then I see the room already. And then I turn to like my director or DOP or whatever. I say like, this room ugly, yeah. Like
Yeah.
cannot. Then the person happened to hear it.
And took offense.
Yeah, because they think the room nice.
Yeah,
It's
right?
not- is that on me?
on camera, you come across as the asshole anyway. That was a joke. I'm so sorry.
What's your problem? Okay, come on, then you say something.
No lah. But I get what you mean. Like
Yeah.
you're in work
Oh,
mode.
water
right?
went on my nose.
Yeah, so I'm really making a casual remark because that's my focus, ma. I'm here to
Yeah.
create something that this person might not understand
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Like the end product is that I'm going to try and promote you and your business, and it's going to be win-win because you're going to justify my effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I need to make decisions, ma. If not, my platform become useless.
So
guess in some
on that
extent.
note, right, I feel like, I mean, ever since I started working in media in general, right, when we are producing content and all that, even though, say for example, MOSG, like the content that we try to put out is like with social meaning behind it. Say for example, we feature a specific person who's going through depression, right? And then the hope is that in sharing that story, other people are able to see that and see that they are not alone.
Yeah.
See that what are the avenues of help that they can go through and
And to know that
get
there's
better
people
also.
like that around you.
Yeah, correct. And I think that's powerful, which is
Yeah.
why I love my job. Right? So, but on that note also, like,
Nice.
hey, you don't love your job. So,
But there's a but lah, I'm guessing.
yeah, but because of that, every time now when people tell me a story, right, or when I find out about a
Right.
interesting situation from someone else, like, okay, a very extreme example, and I recognize that it's shitty, right? Is
Yeah.
that it's my mom the other day, she tell me, oh, I have a friend that got cancer. Then straight away, right, my first thought is like, oh, what stage? And then is she going through chemo? And then like, is
Yeah.
there content that we can make out of this? And then like, so then straight away I caught myself also, and then I was like, wow, that's such a shitty thought to have.
Or even worse, like the thoughts that I sometimes have is like, cancer, then what's her background? If she's well-to-do or like middle class,
Right.
then there are enough cancer stories out there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Which in
Yeah.
your head you're saying, this person's cancer is not special enough. But to this person, right?
They're
it's a
suffering
life
lah.
sentence, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's really just because we do this, right? It's our job, right? And we are trying to get the right message out there for the right cause, but we need to make sure that whatever we create can actually have an impact. That's why we are wired to think that way, right? But, and also at the end of the day, if the impact is, or the outcome is positive, then would it have actually mattered what your intention was? You say I'm just milking this person for that story, right? But it helps the whole cancer community and it makes a massive change.
No, go on first.
Huh? Why?
No, I
you want to talk, right?
Well, yeah.
You can say interesting things without offending people, right? Go ah.
No, so basically when Nas first came to Singapore, right, he was trying to build a team. So I met him for coffee lah. And then during that meeting,
I
right,
met Nas for coffee lah. Okay.
Big shot.
so meeting him, right, it was to basically talk about whether there's a working opportunity with him lah. So after meeting him, right, who you see on camera is obviously,
Not who he
not
is
the
in
same
real
person, yeah.
life.
yeah, but it was like super different. And I can understand why he might rub people off the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah.
But you probably look at it and understand why he's successful.
Of course lah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, but it's that law that people don't expect. And somehow it's like I'm in the industry, I understand how it works. And even then I felt it quite a bit.
Right.
So
Right.
like being in the industry, we all know that, again, like I mentioned earlier, you're trying to portray somebody that you're only portraying one aspect of yourself. So back then when I was in TSL, right, it was a super PC kind of like, everything I into, everything I very positive, I good vibes and that kind of shit, right? But the reality of it
I
is
could
that
always see the toxicity in your eyes.
really.
And the
help me eyes.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
you gotta help me eyes.
Yeah. So like you cannot talk about dirty stuff, you cannot like make like sexual references and things like that, lah, right?
But that's you.
So no, but people thought that was me.
Right.
Yeah. So then when they meet me in real life and then I'm like quite the opposite, right? Or I'm not friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not very friendly, but on the show I'm like, yeah,
I think
best
I remember
friends.
when we first put you on Real Talk also, all the
it's true.
comments were like, wow, John Paul here at Real Talk is so different from...
Is it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was the stark difference, right, in the expectation. And then with Nas, right, his whole business is built on positivity.
Yeah.
So then if you were to meet him in real life and then suddenly you see different sides of him, right, you confirm kena like, you could
Yeah.
be quite
Thrown
taken
off lah.
aback. Yeah.
Right.
Especially if you didn't get something out of it, is what I feel. Because everyone pursues self-interest to an extent. When you have more than you need, you get to be altruistic. Not everyone gets to be.
But also, end of the day, does it, like, is practicality the big question though? Because say, for example, like in art, right, the ability for them to explore what they want to explore, they have to sell all this other stuff that is actually making them the money.
Comes back to
Right.
passion versus money, but this is on a corporate level. Like at the end of the day, we can be a corporation that believes in something. We want to spread certain messages, but we also need to be able to survive, pay the bills in order to keep
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
this
yeah,
content.
exactly.
And so a trade-off needs to be made at some point.
What do you feel about cancel culture? Do you all feel like it's a necessary evil?
No, okay, so there's this new term that's being thrown around now that people are not for cancel culture, they're for consequence culture. So it's not that I just want to cancel you because you are saying stuff that like I don't vibe with or whatever. But
Right.
it's that we are trying to hold people accountable. So I feel like if people come out, right, they apologize, they take responsibility, they can continue. Like they won't like die out, that kind of thing.
Hasn't that been live
Isn't
for a
it
while
that,
now?
that is cancel culture? What?
But cancel culture is like chance.
It feels infinite. It feels like this person is never going to be able to come back.
But you look at the biggest players in the game, they've come back from keeping cancelled, like Logan Paul and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But shout outs to Dikosh though.
Yeah.
The guy is making his own little comeback.
Wait, what?
Is he?
He's
Where?
on TikTok. He's doing the doom 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 doom.
How come you know the whole
Really, I
dance?
mean, Dikosh, I wish you well though, because you look shagged lah. You look tired.
Or like Eden Ang. Eden Ang hasn't made like an appearance in a long time.
Shit lah, the joke would have been no kidding. Because
I thought the joke was shagged. Sorry.
I agree completely. I don't want to say shag.
No, but going back to your question, right? Like I think cancel culture has had some good, but I think it gets over abused under the banner of cancel culture, or like we need to cancel this guy because he did, like the thing that sparked my anger towards cancel culture was when Kevin Hart got
Oh, the Oscars, is it?
yeah, because of a tweet that he did 10 years ago.
Right.
That tweet wasn't great, and I think he was rightly condemned for it. He apologized for it. He said also he's a different person 10 years ago. I'm a different person 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People learn, people change, but people are constantly getting cancelled for stuff that they've said in the past.
it's like witch hunting lor, but in the modern age.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of village idiots with pitchforks and then one person just say, she's a witch. Then everybody just go and kill her.
I feel like, okay, with everything is like in moderation, like too much of it is like crazy, right? Like the amount of things that we can say now, like in the spirit of like letting everybody be themselves and like
Yeah.
being more considerate, like not using certain slurs anymore
Yeah.
and all that, right? But then it has come to the point where everything you say is wrong. Like you can say anything and somebody else will
Or
say
even
it's
this show, for
offensive.
example. I think if you trim it properly, 1/3 of this show is disclaimers.
Yeah.
It's me personally. I mean, no offense. I mean, I really personally like the.
Yeah. No, but I feel like, okay, cancel culture is great when I think we have call-out culture just to keep people accountable.
yeah.
But there was something that Matt Damon said recently. He said that he only recently stopped using a homophobic slur because his daughter called him
him?
out on it.
Oh.
And then everyone started saying, what the fuck? Matt Damon has been using this word. But if he didn't come out to say that he didn't know that this word was wrong, how do you know that people are still using this word or not if they're just afraid to say it in
Right.
public?
Right.
You must be able to let them have that voice to say it so that you can correct them. What? And then the good thing about this article is that someone else who didn't know that this word was bad can now go like, oh shit, this word is bad.
Yeah, so it brings attention to it and educates.
Yeah, exactly that.
You see, it's a full cycle.
Yeah.
Right now, where we are at, it's where MediaCorp 1 is at, or like TCS.
What is
For you.
that?
Oh my god.
Singapore water or some shit there.
The
completely say
television
wrong, sia.
TCS. I don't know, television basically. MediaCorp used to be called TCS.
Okay.
Oh.
And it was
Television
back-
Corporation Singapore.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Exactly that. So back then we had shows that only perpetuated the values that Singapore, what do you call that?
The
Propaganda. Sorry. Holland V. Young Popo.
There's some values.
Yeah. PSB values.
Yeah.
PSB values. Yeah.
Public service broadcast values.
Yeah.
So back then, like this is a whole circle, right? Back then, early stage MediaCorp, or as you young people will not know it, TCS, right?
don't
Whatever
know.
they put on TV was always only pretty much approved by public service broadcast or carry public service broadcast messaging,
Right.
which is racial harmony and all that stuff.
999.
Yeah, it goes in that circle. Then everything is so brand safe. But back then we had no other options, and so we started we can only watch these things for entertainment. And you see then they try and push it until some shows like the news, for example, is like broke out. Oh my god, like Channel 5, like Meta itself, they make fun of themselves. Then you suddenly start feeling like, oh my god, I like this kind of uncensored make fun of yourself. Then you like prank channels, like prank channels that, I mean, started out not cruel, but then became cruel, but you still like it. For example, Jackass, right? Where they hurt themselves, but it's so inhumane that you are enabling him to continue to hurt himself to make money, but whatever, entertaining. And then it goes to a full circle where shows like Real Talk, for example, that would openly talk about sex and all that stuff. And the year we did it, the channel blew up in the same year. And then now we are going back into the circle of self-censorship. And we're gonna go back to public service broadcast values. And then when we are at the norm of public service broadcast values, someone is gonna try and pop their head out and say cheap on TV, right? It's like, what, like that guy, he damn honest, he just speak his mind. Then we begin this cycle again. That's how I feel.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you watch, remember to drop us a sub and a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Watch.